Do you still consider yourself an actor above all other things, or have you moved away from that, or are you mixing it up and giving us a little bit of everything?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything, really. I mean, like yourself, I mean, I started as an actor, went to drama school, trained and whatever, and then did sort of like, various different tours and stuff within the UK. And then I met my wife on the first job that we had, which was like a TIE job. And I'd already done a season of it. And then Wendy, she went to Birmingham School of Speech and Drama, and she sort of like joined the second season. And bizarrely enough, people cringe or vomit at this, right? But we were actually playing Romeo and Juliet, and we worked in Vietnam, and then I got invited to lead a performing arts thing in Singapore. And then from that, I got invited to run a performing arts for a company, a performing arts education company, and had developed their production side of things here in Hong Kong. And that's how we got to Hong Kong. And then I took over a company not too long ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and was running that for a period of time, which had an education side to it, a training side to it, and then I was developing production as well. And the Hong Kong Theatre Company came out of that.
What do you think the benefits are then of wearing the director's hat but coming from an acting background?
I think it's really useful. I mean, for me as a director, I mean, I've always been interested in plays, not just being in them, but everything that makes them happen and how they stage and everything. But I'm a very hands-on. I get out of the seat, basically. I'm not really one of those directors who sits there and, they've got their book in front of them and that's it. And then, let's try it this way and whatever. I do tend to do a little bit of demonstration sometimes. I suppose it's just that I just get very involved in it. And so, I like playing different characters and I like mucking about with it. And so I do actually very much, I feel as though for me personally, that approach has really helped me, and lots of actors tend to engage with it, I think.
And I really love the fact that you are using, bringing all these other elements into the production, puppetry and music and song. And is that something that you see as sort of an inherent part of the production, bringing
Absolutely
those other elements in?
For me, it's vital, really, especially when you're looking at texts that's so well known. And I think that when you look at anything that comes from sort of like the Elizabethan Jacobean period, it's making that link with the original sort of principles of the playing conditions and everything that they had, and the way in which audiences interact with them, and bringing that forward for a modern audience to access it. So, for example, Faustus was very much, it was meant to be the sort of thing that you could, for several reasons, see at a festival. So everything that we do has a sort of principle of being portable, largely. So it can convert into lots of different spaces, but also it needs to have that interaction with the audience and that closeness with the audience. We use a lot of audience participation. So, for example, when Faustus calls for a wife and says, I'm lusting, I need a wife, and Mephistopheles reluctantly brings him on forward, we use an audience member that we've briefed before, sticking in a comedy week and whatever. And so it becomes a much more sort of close interactive experience. Our mission is to create, produce, inspire imaginative and exciting theatre. And to do that, you don't just need one element, you need all of the elements. So you need education, you need performance, you need training. And without, if you miss one of those aspects of that, I don't think that you have a healthy industry.
Of course, the political situation in Hong Kong, we've seen, especially in 2019, and then you've had the coronavirus. Have these things directly impacted the company, and where does the company sit right now?
But we're working under changed conditions. We have to ensure that the space is safe, clean, fulfills all that. We don't put anybody's health or principles under strain. So it changes it on those very basic levels. You know, we're working towards something at the moment which is going to be a performed rehearsed reading, but we don't know whether the situation is going to be there that we can actually have that audience in. I work on the principle that we're in a creative industry like we're in, and being creative artists and whatever, that we need to make a positive of change. So whatever that change is, we need to turn it into a positive.
How do you come to the decision about what's next?
Yeah, I suppose, well, basically I just do things that I want to do. Well, I'm really lucky. I'm really lucky in the sense that you know, I have complete control over the company. So, and we're in our infancy really in many respects. So actually it's an open playing field. So you can do projects that you want to do, but obviously you have to make them relevant. Otherwise you're not going to get an audience. You know, you put whatever you like on, but you need to make sure that there's an audience there who wants to come and see it. And I think even now, you know, given the things, I wrote part of 500 Miles, the play we're rehearsing for at the moment. I actually wrote it when I was in India, and that was like 10 years ago, or 10, 15 years ago. But strangely enough, because of Brexit, because of all the things that have happened at the moment, the uncertainty of the world, that actually those were always the core elements of that play's theme. So it becomes really relevant now. So, you know, maybe I'm just lucky.
I just wondered, if money were no object, if you had a kind of dream vision or gig that you would love to sort of see come to fruition.
There's probably two things that I'd really like to do. You know, if I was going to do something, I think, and it's just recently done at the National actually, The Visit by Duramat. I think that I've always wanted to do it just because it suits what I think theatre's exciting about theatre. You know, the way in which the actors are really there at the centre of it all, creating the things and the scenes and the atmosphere and the environment. I love Sondheim and whatever. I love musicals. So something like Sweeney Todd would be a great thing. That's just like a personal thing. That's that I wouldn't mind doing.
Great play. What do you consider to be the sort of biggest challenges that you face as a theatre artist?
The biggest challenge, particularly in somewhere like Hong Kong as well. Hong Kong's very established as an English-speaking, you know, it has very international and it's whatever. And there's been theatre going on here for a long period of time. But there's not really an industry as such here, which in some ways is a good thing, because it means that people can come here and they can do things, and they can, like you're saying, in you know, the difference in attitude in LA to the UK, you know, you can try something and people will embrace it and I'll go with it. But I think, you know, there's a lot to be said for trying to create a sort of standard of work and a level of training and a level of education. And I think those are challenges here in Hong Kong. There's lots of people, lots of wonderful people doing wonderful work. But it's never really, there's never been something that's cohesively brought everybody together to create an industry that has a real support structure for it. And I think that's really my goal, really. I think that's one of the things that I would like to affect change with.
If you could speak to something that you feel that you've achieved sort of professionally, that you're particularly proud of.
I think anybody who makes their living out of the thing that they love doing, you know, has got to be thankful. I'm particularly grateful that I've been able to sustain working solely within my field for the last 10 years or so in Hong Kong. I'm particularly proud that I don't just settle for things that everybody else seems to think about. Not saying that I'm a visionary or anything like that, but I do tend to think a little bit outside the box, for want of a better phrase, and open to change. One of the biggest things, and what I'm thankful for my training as an actor and my experience of being as an actor in the past, is being able to embrace change. because you need to be able to survive, and then you need to be able to think creatively of how you can use a changing situation to still continue what you do, and even to fuel what you do.
That's wonderful, Vince. I mean, I couldn't have hoped for a more articulate and wonderful answer to finish the interview with. And I just want to say thank you so much for agreeing also to participate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Vince.